How did lying on your resume accidentally turn you into the most qualified person in the room? My roommate dared me to apply for a job I had absolutely no business applying for. She found this listing for an event coordinator at a five-star hotel. Required 5 years of experience, a hospitality degree, and fluency in 2 languages. I had none of those things. I was 22, working part-time at a frozen yogurt shop, and the closest I'd come to event planning was a surprise party where the guest of honor walked in while I was still blowing up balloons. But my roommate wouldn't let it go. So that night, I rewrote my entire resume. Suddenly, my yogurt shop experience became food and beverage service management. My college group project became large-scale event coordination for a regional nonprofit. And my 2 semesters of high school Spanish became conversational bilingual proficiency. I hit send and went to bed laughing. 2 days later, they called me for an interview. I almost threw up. My roommate was screaming while I sat on the bathroom floor trying to remember if coordination was even a real Spanish word. The interview was at the hotel itself. I borrowed a blazer from my older sister, watched 4 hours of YouTube videos about event logistics, and memorized phrases like guest experience optimization and cross-departmental synergy. I walked into the lobby feeling like a fraud, wrapped in polyester. The hiring manager was this intense woman named Vivian, who looked like she'd never smiled recreationally. She sat across from me with my resume printed out and started asking questions. Tell me about your biggest event. I panicked for half a second. Then I described my best friend's 21st birthday party, but made it sound corporate. 200 attendees, custom catering, budget constraints requiring real-time vendor negotiations. Vivian nodded. She actually wrote something down. Then she asked about a time I'd handled a crisis during an event. I told her about the time the cake fell off the table at my cousin's baby shower, and I convinced everyone it was supposed to be a deconstructed dessert display. She looked impressed. Then she said something that changed everything. We have a corporate gala this Saturday. Our lead coordinator just quit. I need someone who can step in immediately. Can you start tomorrow? My brain said absolutely not. My mouth said absolutely. The next 3 days were the most terrifying of my life. The gala was for some massive tech company celebrating their 10th anniversary. 300 guests, a 7-course dinner, 2 keynote speakers, and an auction. I had never coordinated anything more complicated than a pizza order. But here's the thing about panic. When it gets bad enough, your brain stops overthinking and just starts doing. I showed up at 6 in the morning and started making lists. I called every vendor personally. I walked through the ballroom 17 times memorizing the layout. When the florist delivered the wrong centerpieces, I called 3 other florists and found replacements in 40 minutes. When one of the keynote speakers canceled 2 hours before the event, I convinced the company's CFO to give an impromptu speech by telling her the audience specifically requested her. They hadn't. She killed it anyway. By the time guests started arriving, every table was set, every light was dimmed perfectly, and every staff member knew exactly where to be. I stood near the entrance in my borrowed blazer watching 300 people walk into something I'd somehow built from nothing. The night went flawlessly. The tech company's CEO personally came up to me and said it was the best event they'd ever hosted. Vivian pulled me aside at the end of the night. She said, I don't know where you worked before, but whoever trained you did an exceptional job. I almost laughed. Nobody trained me. A frozen yogurt shop trained me to handle angry customers. YouTube trained me to fake confidence. And pure terror trained me to solve problems faster than I could panic about them. She offered me the full-time position the next morning. I accepted before she finished the sentence. 3 years later, I'm still there. I've coordinated over 200 events and been promoted twice. My roommate still brings up the dare at least once a month. She says I owe her a percentage of every paycheck. I told her I'd pay her back when she finally returns the blazer she borrowed from my sister. She hasn't.